cases are observed throughout the world, in France, in Italy, in Britain, in USA, many countries, many clubs of Shakespeare are doing various programs on these plays. Now, first, let us talk about the performance or the aspects of the plot of Julius Caesar. How the Shakespeare thought about this subject, that he would like to write the play on Julius Caesar. As we know that Shakespeare got his material from Plutarch, the famous writer of centuries ago, who wrote play on Julius Caesar. So Shakespeare got his imagination from Plutarch. Then Shakespeare must have read Chaucer's The Monk's Tale. We know Chaucer. Chaucer is a famous writer of the Canterbury Tales. And in Tales, Chaucer talks about some characters who are on the journey, and each character speaks about the story of his own. So in Monk's Tale, the reference of Brutus, Cassius, and Julius Caesar was there. So this is the second reference from which the attraction of Shakespeare for Julius Caesar was there. And the third reference the researchers have found was from Dante's Divine Comedy. In Dante's Divine Comedy, there is a reference of Brutus, Cassius, and Julius Caesar also. Now, friends, let us think about the play written by Shakespeare. First, 2-3 things we should understand about Shakespeare. R.J. Rees, on his introduction to Shakespeare in his book, in the introduction on literature, he said that Shakespeare was the master of human psychology. Shakespeare was the master of human psychology. Even the word psychology invented 100 years after the birth of Shakespeare. If you read any play of Shakespeare, whether it is comedy, tragedy, or his more than 100 sonnets, he has excellent imagination, excellent thinking of human mind, excellent thinking of human psychology. So he was the master of human psychology. Then the second thing, he has excellent imagination in poetry, whether it is a play or anything, it is tragedy or comedy. He has excellent imagination and excellent poetry is there in his plays. So through poetry, through poetic writing, he even decorates his plays, dialogues, speeches. It attracts the audience. From in one of his sonnets, he said about love, love is not love if it alters when alteration comes. Love is an ever fixed marks like a star. So Shakespeare compares love with star in the sky. Like the star is fixed in the sky. Shakespeare says, love is also a fixed imagination or a fixed dogma which cannot alter, which cannot change if changes comes. So Shakespeare has a very sound imagination, very sound poetry, and very sound knowledge of human psychology. So with this brief introduction, let us go to the characteristics of Shakespearean plays. After that, we will start our discussion on Julius Caesar. Now, every Shakespearean play has certain qualities. First is opening scene of every play gives brief about the whole play, gives synopsis, gives introduction about the whole play. If you observe this, our play Julius Caesar, in the opening scene, we see that Julius Caesar is having more power, and his gaining power has become the issue of jealousy of in the mind of Cassius, and the soothsayer says, beware the ides of March. So in this introduction, we are having the synopsis of the play. So every opening scene in Shakespearean play gives synopsis of the play, and the chorus is there. The chorus sings songs, and in that song the introduction about the story, about the characters, about the plot is given. And the chorus means group of people who are singing something, who are through their singing they are informing about the play or about whatever the topic, major issues of the play. Then the third thing, heroines are important. Just now in the modern age, lot of discussion is going on about feminism. So if we think about Shakespeare, Shakespeare was really a feminist writer, because in his comedies or in his tragedies, women characters, heroines were very important. And through women characters, he took the side of women. He shows the feelings, affections of women characters. And through them, we can say that he was, after Chaucer, we can find a little feminism in Chaucer's tales also. So after Chaucer, Shakespeare is the second major feminist writer. Assassination or assessment should be there in this direction also. So feminism in Shakespearean plays, then Shakespeare was against the observation of unities of action, unities of place and time. And the major thing about the play is every Shakespearean tragedy is full of tragic flaw in the character, full of tragic defect in the character. And it is that tragic defect is the cause of the tragedy of that character, or the play depends upon that tragic flow of the character. Now, let us conclude Shakespeare and we will come to the play Julius Caesar, because after Shakespeare, Ben Jonson took place. Ben Jonson came after Shakespeare. So in Scott James' book, Ben Jonson said about Shakespeare that it was said that he never bloated a line. Ben Jonson say, it is a very nice criticism of Ben Jonson on Shakespeare, that the critics said that he means Shakespeare, never bloated a line. Bloated a line means he never committed a mistakes, but I would say he committed many mistakes, but still I feel that Shakespeare was the master of drama. I adore Fletcher, Ben Jonson say, but I love Shakespeare. So even the writers after Shakespeare, they feel that they cannot go ahead of genius of Shakespeare. So with this, let us come to the play Julius Caesar. Now, in the beginning, we see that Julius Caesar is victorious. He gets victory and he won the Battle of Pompeii. And in a procession, he would like to go to the Senate. So, when two conspirators comes and see that Caesar will get more power now, Caesar is very powerful. So the procession, when Caesar starts for the procession to Rome, a soothsayer means an astrologer, says that beware of the Ides of March. Means take part or think about 15th March is the doomsday. 15th March would be the dangerous day for you. But Julius Caesar never cared for this type of astrology. So he thought that he would go to the Senate. So soothsayer was not given any importance. Now Caesar's power has become an issue for Cassius. We know that in this play, the important characters are Julius Caesar, Cassius, Brutus, Casca, Mark Antony, and others. These are the main, and Octavius. These are the main characters in the play. So, Cassius, the main conspirator, who is affected by the grand power of Caesar, because he is thinking about Rome. If Caesar gets more power, what will happen to the public of Rome? So Cassius appoints Brutus as a conspirator to play the conspiracy for the assassination of Caesar. So it was decided that Caesar should be stopped from getting more powers. So Cassius appoints Casca, one poet, Casca, for forged letters. Casca would write some letters. In that letters, it will be written that Caesar should be stopped from getting more power. Now, Caesar's best friend was Brutus. Brutus was very faithful to Caesar. So Cassius thought that if they take Brutus in their company for the assassination of Caesar, things will become easier for them. So Cassius appeals to Brutus that he should join with them. And when Brutus read one letter, that forged letter wrote by Casca, he thought that this plan is something important about this plan. So Brutus couldn't sleep on that night. Now, because he was very faithful to Caesar, he couldn't take decision. He thought that he will think about it, but he was not agree. As we know that conflict is the main issue. Conflict in the mind of Brutus to join with the conspirators against Caesar or not. It is the conflict of Hamlet also, to do or not to do. Here the first conflict starts in the mind of Cassius. And after Brutus, that to join with the conspirators or not. But after reading that forged letter, Brutus thought that Caesar must be stopped to get more powers. So Brutus, Cassius, Casca and others, they group together in the palace of Brutus. Now Casca and Brutus is now has joined with Cassius for the assassination plan. Now Brutus's wife Portia, she knew the plan of this person, so she was worried. Portia worried about her husband Brutus, because Brutus was very confident of